Eos Energy is currently burning through nearly $1 billion a year while its executives dump millions in stock, yet the U.S. government is betting hundreds of millions that this exact company will become the backbone of the American power grid. Imagine you are looking at a company that has managed to grow its revenue by over 600% in a single year, basically exploding from a research project into a massive industrial player, but at the same exact time it has diluted its own shareholders by 8,000%. That is the paradox of Eos Energy Enterprises. It's a business that occupies this incredibly high-stakes intersection of the clean energy transition, the explosion of AI data centers, and the desperate need for national security in our supply chains. If you look at the technology alone, it sounds like a miracle. They have developed a proprietary zinc-based battery called the Znyth system that is non-flammable, uses Earth-abundant materials sourced right here in the United States, and can provide long-duration storage for the grid without the fire risks or the cooling costs of traditional lithium-ion. But when you peel back the curtain and look at the actual financial engine driving this ship, you find what some forensic analysts are calling a trash can fire. We are talking about a company that has grown its share count from 4 million to nearly 340 million in just 5 years. To put that in perspective, imagine you owned a full slice of pizza, but while you were sitting there waiting for it to be served, the chef kept cutting that same pizza into smaller and smaller slivers till your entire meal was basically a single crumb. That is what has happened to EOSE shareholders, and the printing press doesn't show any signs of stopping. The central tension here is whether the revolutionary technology can actually survive the catastrophic cash burn. Eos is effectively racing against its own bankruptcy. They are building the machine that makes the machine, transitioning from manual assembly to high-tech automation in their Pennsylvania facilities. But that transition has been anything but smooth. Just recently, in February of 2026, the company dropped an absolute bombshell of an earnings report. They reported a net loss of $970 million for the year. The market reaction was violent, with the stock plummeting nearly 40% in a single trading session. Now, management tried to soften the blow by pointing out that a lot of this was non-cash accounting adjustments, but the underlying reality was that their manufacturing yields were failing. They had massive downtime on their battery lines, and they were missing their revenue targets by nearly 40%. This wasn't just a minor speed bump, it was a total breakdown of institutional trust. Because of that crash, the company is now facing federal class action lawsuits alleging that management knew about these manufacturing failures while they were still out there pumping optimistic guidance to the public. And while all this was happening, something even more suspicious was going on with the people running the show. Between late 2025 and early 2026, corporate insiders liquidated about $15 million worth of stock. They were getting out while the price was still elevated, right before the retail shareholders got absolutely decimated by that February crash. But then, just when everyone was ready to write them off, we got a chaos twist on April 9th. The company released preliminary numbers for the first quarter of 2026, and suddenly the narrative flipped. They showed that manufacturing yields had improved by 22% and that they were actually on track to beat revenue expectations. The stock violently squeezed upward by nearly 30% in a single day. This is why this ticker is such a nightmare for short sellers, but a playground for high-risk traders. You have this massive short interest of about 28%, which sounds like the perfect setup for a short squeeze, but there's a hidden trap in those numbers. Even though 93 million shares are sold short, the cost to borrow the stock is almost zero. It's sitting at 0.48%. What that tells you is that the institutional short sellers aren't in a panic. They are perfectly comfortable sitting on those short positions for months, paying virtually nothing, because they believe the company will eventually have to print more shares just to keep the lights on. They aren't betting against the battery, they are betting against the balance sheet. Speaking of the balance sheet, the debt situation is like a ticking bomb. The company is currently carrying $850 million in convertible notes. These are basically loans that the lenders can turn into stock. Now, back in 2023, the company was using what they call payment in kind or PIK notes. This is a very toxic form of debt where if you can't pay the interest in cash, it just gets added to the principal of the loan. It's like a credit card that compounds exponentially because you're only paying the minimum. Management realized how suicidal that was and used a massive capital raise in late 2025 to retire some of that toxic debt, but they replaced it with even larger chunks of convertible debt. To make matters worse, there is a literal wall of supply sitting above the current stock price. There are nearly 20 million institutional warrants with strike prices around $2.15 and $3.14. Since the stock is currently trading between $4 and $5, those warrants are deeply in the money. Every time the stock tries to rally on good news, those warrant holders can exercise their rights, get newly printed shares for cheap, and dump them into the market to lock in a profit. It creates a structural ceiling that makes it incredibly hard for the stock to sustain any kind of long-term bull run. And yet, despite all these red flags, the U.S. Department of Energy is standing right there with a $300 million loan guarantee. This is part of Project Amaze, which is supposed to fund 4 massive manufacturing lines in Pennsylvania. The government is essentially saying that Eos is too strategically important to fail. We need these batteries to balance the grid as we add more solar and wind power, and we need them to power the massive AI data centers that are popping up everywhere. If Eos can actually get these lines running at full capacity, they could produce 8 gigawatt-hours of storage a year. That's enough to power 300,000 homes. The demand is clearly there. They have a confirmed backlog of over $700 million. They even just landed a massive contract with Bimergen Energy for a project in Texas, which is choosing Eos over cheap lithium-ion batteries from China. That's a huge commercial validation. It proves that major power producers are willing to bet on this zinc technology because it's safer and it's domestic. But here's where the story gets really tense. The company is currently holding its own shareholders hostage. In a recent proxy filing, the board of directors asked for permission to increase the number of authorized shares from 600 million to 800 million. They explicitly warned that if shareholders don't approve this 200 million share increase, the company might have to settle its debt in cash,
which would basically wipe out their liquidity and put them at risk of default. It's a move that feels a lot like corporate coercion. They're saying, give us the power to dilute you even further or watch the company collapse. It's a brutal position for an investor to be in. You want to believe in the green energy future and you want to believe in the 7x revenue growth, but you're being asked to fund a business model that has been an endless capital incinerator since it went public via a SPAC in 2020. If you look at the technicals, the chart looks like an electrocardiogram of someone surviving a heart attack. We saw a death cross in March, where the short-term moving average dropped below the long-term one, confirming a long-term bearish trend. But then you have these sudden gaps up on preliminary news. It's a binary outcome. Either they hit their 2026 revenue guidance of $300 to $400 million and prove they can manufacture at scale, or they fail to meet those promises again and the debt clock finally runs out. The Department of Energy has given them a bit of breathing room by deferring some of the financial requirements of their loan until 2027, but that's not a get-out-of-jail-free card. It's just a delay. By early next year, Eos has to stop being a research and development startup and start being a margin-positive industrial giant. The way I see it, Eos Energy is a high-stakes turnaround story masquerading as a clean energy play. It's a direct proxy war for whether America can actually onshore high-tech manufacturing. On one side, you have the short sellers and the forensic analysts who see a company buried under nearly $2 billion in liabilities, facing fraud lawsuits and dumping shares for pennies through at-the-market programs. They see a business that survives purely by printing paper. On the other side, you have institutional giants like BlackRock and Vanguard, and private equity firms like Cerberus who are piling into the stock because they see the 2.8 gigawatt-hour backlog and the desperate need for long-duration storage. They see a company that is finally getting its automation yields under control and is about to dominate a multi-billion-dollar niche. One of the most telling things is the recent insider buying. After the stock crashed in February, the CEO, Joe Mastrangelo, and a couple of directors stepped in and bought about $700,000 worth of stock on the open market. Now, some people will tell you that's just symbolic buying, a classic public relations move to stop the panic. And sure, compared to the $15 million they dumped earlier, it's a small amount. But insiders usually only buy for one reason. They think the price is going up. They had internal visibility that the Q1 numbers were going to be better than the market expected, and they put their own money on the line right before the April bounce. That's a signal you can't completely ignore. So where does that leave the average person looking at this? It's a speculative battleground. If you hold EOSE, you're basically betting that the Line 2 automation in Pennsylvania is going to work perfectly this time. If it does, and they hit that $400 million revenue target, the valuation actually starts to look somewhat rational. But if they hit another manufacturing bottleneck, or if that class action lawsuit uncovers something truly damning about what management knew during the last crash, there isn't much of a safety net. The company is literally out of shares to print unless they get that new authorization. They're walking a tightrope over a canyon of debt, and the wind is blowing hard. It's easy to get caught up in the drama of the short interest and the 29% spikes, but the real story is in the manufacturing scrap rates. It's boring, but it's the only thing that matters. Can they make these batteries at a cost that is lower than what they sell them for? Right now, their gross margins are deeply negative. They are losing money on every single battery that leaves the factory. They're hoping that automation will flip that script, but automation is incredibly hard to get right on the first try, especially with a brand new chemistry like zinc bromide. They're basically trying to invent a new way of building things while the whole world is watching and half of Wall Street is rooting for them to fail. The most fascinating part of this whole saga is the dark pool activity. We're seeing that nearly half of all the short selling is happening off-exchange, hidden from the public eye. And right before that positive April announcement, there were massive blocks of call options being bought up in private exchanges. It's a rigged game in a lot of ways. The smart money is positioning themselves hours or days before the public gets the news, leaving retail traders to chase the spikes and get trapped in the dumps. This is why you see these patterns where good news actually leads to a price drop. The market isn't looking at what happened yesterday, it's looking at whether the company can meet its own inflated projections. When Eos reported record quarterly revenue in late 2025, it was up 800% year over year. That sounds amazing, right? But the stock cratered 40% because the whisper number among analysts was even higher. The market doesn't reward growth anymore. It only rewards perfection. Eos is a company that has managed to make itself indispensable to the government's energy goals while making itself a target for every forensic short seller on the street. It's a high-beta, hyper-volatile bet on the future of the American grid. If you're looking for a safe, blue-chip utility play, this is the absolute last place you want to be. But if you're looking for that asymmetric upside where a company either goes to zero or becomes a 10-bagger as it scales to dominate a new industry, Eos is the ultimate test of your risk tolerance. Just remember that every time you buy a share, the company is probably planning to print 10 more, and the debt clock is always ticking. The technology is revolutionary, the growth is real, but the financial structure is a minefield. You have to decide if the potential of the battery is worth the risk of the balance sheet, because in the world of EOSE, things can go from a record-breaking surge to a catastrophic collapse in the time it takes to read an SEC filing. What really sticks with me is that 10K filing from February. Seeing liabilities jump nearly 2,000% since 2019 is a number that stays in the back of your head. It's a mountain of debt that has to be climbed, and the only way up is through a tiny automated factory line in Pennsylvania. If those machines hum, the company wins. If they jam, the shareholders lose. It's that simple and that brutal.
We are watching a billion-dollar experiment in real time, and whether it ends in a clean energy revolution or a cautionary tale for business schools, it's definitely not going to be a quiet finish. There's a lot more depth to this turnaround story than just the daily stock price, but it feels like the real answers are still hidden somewhere on that factory floor. And hey, I hope this video helps you on your quest for profits.